We are dealing with a culture already that is moving in the wrong direction. And as a result, I've always said that politics and even what happens on the street is downstream from the culture. If the culture goes bad, it gets worse. And that's kind of what you're dealing with. So if there's ever been a time when we need to have a police force because we can't depend on consent and we can't depend on public virtue, then you really probably need more. And so, isn't that interesting? Because if everybody was law abiding, you could have a very small police force. But at a time when people are not law abiding, you probably need a larger police force. So, the very time when we have more chaos, we have fewer officers. And if nothing else, you look at it from a Christian point of view, you can see the problem that we have right now.
Oh, this is well said. And I tell people again, I don't endear myself to anyone when I speak, but we're moving towards a policing monolith in America.
That's true.
I believe shortly we'll probably see martial law. It'll probably start in certain, maybe in Chicago, where there's such a murder rate.
Hmm.
The homicide rate is absolutely off the charts, and then
Yeah.
um, they're going to show that type of a hand, a monolith. You know, people are misoneistic by definition. They resist change. So they're not going to voluntarily say, okay, we embrace this. But if you destroy what's in place, a system of consent, and then when it gets really bad, you say, we've got a solution, but it's not going to be very attractive. People will say, well, we want the solution anyway.
That's right. We had a guest on a while back that was just talking about how we're sort of militarizing the police force right now, anyway, because as it gets worse out there on the streets, with Antifa or whatever those groups might be, it isn't one of those ones where you pull out a bullhorn and say, you need to disperse, and people say, and they start throwing rocks at you. You have a more militarized police force. And like you said, Chicago may be the first place that shows up where they simply say to bring any kind of control out of this anarchy, out of this chaos, is going to be something where people will give up their freedom, give up their liberty in order to have security. But it's going to be something that's going to look a lot more like a totalitarian regime, a lot more like a SWAT team, and a lot less like your local police force.
Oh, no, this is entirely correct. You know, Kirby, when we have that moment and there is blood spilled, there's no telling. It'll be a collective national cathartic thing. There's no telling how long it'll go before it ceases. And then when it ceases and we look around us, you're entirely right. We'll see a structure absolutely inconsistent with our civil liberties. And once we lose those, I suspect we won't be seeing them again. People tell me, yeah, but you know what? I want to live an unencumbered life. I don't want the government in my business.
Yeah.
Well, then what you're really saying is you don't want freedom, you want license.
Yeah.
Freedom has context and parameters, and license doesn't. And again, the way I see it, biblically, license is rebellion before a holy God.
Yes.
And it's just telling him, like Nancy Pelosi said, we don't want God in our business. So God will allow you to have your way. But when it comes time to pay and be held accountable, and that's where I think the country's moving and moving fast and hard. I don't know. I tell people, in my humble estimation, at 65 years of age, I believe I'll see Jesus in my lifetime. This is not sustainable the way we're living.